Hey, this is Tom Calvin. Thanks for tuning in to Tomorrow's Legends.
You think you know the story. You've heard it 100 times. But this is not the tale that you know, for this part of the story has yet to be written. Join Flash, Harley, and X-Force 11 as they take the Waverider into the near future and check in on some old friends. This is the new adventures of Superman and Lois, as chronicled by Tomorrow's Legends.
Hello, Superfam. Landed the Waverider a safe distance from all the disturbances in the mines. We're here to talk about the second episode of Season 2, The Ties That Bind, directed by John Diggle himself, David Ramsey. I'm your blue beacon of hope, X-Force 11.
And I'm Harley Quinn.
Hello, Legends.
Hello, Gideon. And we are Flashless tonight, but we'll dig into that in just a minute. But I do have some news that I wanted to share.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about the new series Naomi, which is airing after Superman and Lois. And so they had their second episode this week, and I'm really digging it. They brought a Thanagarian in. It's not Hawkman, but it's another Thanagarian. And he fought along Superman in a war. And it's got some really good visual effects. And I am just digging the storyline. It's bringing in aliens. It's bringing in some cool things. And I think it's going to be kind of a mix of what they're doing with Superman and Lois, and also a mix of what they did with Black Lightning. So I am really digging it. I'm hoping that they will be able to get a season 2, but it's good so far. I'm enjoying it.
That's interesting. See, I haven't had a chance to watch it. My days of watching live TV at the moment are not happening, really. So trying to fit in a new series on top of everything else we have going on isn't happening right now. But I definitely want to put a pin in it because that sounds super interesting. So is it officially part of the Arrowverse, or are they kind of doing what they did with Black Lightning and sort of keeping it to the side at
but
first?
The interesting thing is it seems like people are... It definitely seems like it may be in Superman's reality because they mentioned Superman and things like that, but heroes aren't as well known. So this is actually set, I believe it's set in Washington State. So it's a ways out from some of the other stuff. So it may just be because of that. So that there's ties there, but they haven't been like direct on-screen ties yet, but it is an interesting series. So
cool. Well, I will definitely have to check it out.
So let's get started with our general impressions. So kicking this one off, I gave this one 8.5 tremors of foreboding. So this episode kicked us up a gear, and it laid out a lot of the themes that I think we're going to explore this season. We had some good action scenes. We had the introduction of Laura L, and the actress that we will have playing that role in this series. We had lots of relationship stuff going on, and I'm just happy that we're covering this series because they're just continuing to do well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I gave this one 9 family reunions. And I feel like they definitely took things up a notch with this episode. And I was pleasantly surprised by many things that happened. Like, we got to see Lara and Morgan Edge. Was not expecting either one of those things. Natlie and Sarah bonding was amazing, and I love it. So I'm super excited to see more of that. And then that reveal at the end with the mines, like, I was not expecting that at all. That Dr. Faulkner was in on it. So we're gonna tie into more of this. And also, this jumped out at me, and I know you have more to say on it later, but before I wrote this, I did not read your notes. But to me, and I will just do the Cliff's Notes version of this, Lucy's cult connection sounds a lot like Nexium. So we'll get more into that later. Anyway, overall, great episode.
Yes. And even though Flash isn't able to join us this week, he's feeling a little under the weather, he did give us his rating, and he gave this one 8 pounding headaches. It seems that even the Flash can't outrun COVID. Ouch. Sorry I can't be with you guys this week, but I wanted to get my rating in for Superman and Lois. Tyler Hoechlin continues to impress with such strong performances in each episode. Man, can he play angry. I wasn't expecting to see Tal-Ro back so soon and be a major part of the episode, but he had his purpose as we get introduced to Mama Soups, and she was wonderful. Great casting there. I like that Jordan wanted to be there for his dad just in case. Anderson seems pretty cold and not too concerned about Superman's well-being.
Nope.
Tag is back, which is cool, but where is the story going? We can't have tons of superpowers running around, or it makes Superman irrelevant. Is this a Young Justice beginning, maybe? Okay, good thought. The only thing I really didn't like about this episode was the Cushing story. Lana running for mayor was the most predictable thing I've ever seen, and their scenes were just hard to sit through. So whoever that lady was at the mine is working for someone, but who? And why did the apparent Doomsday have 4 lights on his body? Have a good show, guys.
Thanks.
Yep. Good points, and we'll get to a lot of those.
Yep.
So, getting into the talking points, you brought up the discussion of the title last week, and I kind of went off of it on this week. And the title, The Ties That Bind. And I personally know that from the hymn, Blessed Be the Ties That Bind. And the kind of the chorus that goes with that is, Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in Christian love, and fellowship of kindred minds is like to that above. And the kind of the definition, the idiom, meaning the ties that bind, or the ties that bind, is a shared belief or other factor that links people. And there's also a common phrase out there, as long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that would tear us apart, all is well. So we get a lot of that in this episode with families and other stuff going on. So I liked it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I thought it was a great title, and it always reminds me of family as well. And I think, the common phrase that I am used to hearing is, as long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that tear us apart, all will be well. So that's, yes, we'll have to see how that plays out. I feel like that almost might be a season-long theme. So.
Oh, yeah, could be.
For sure.
All right, we're going to kick it off with Clark this week. And, his visions are increasing, and they're really starting to hinder his abilities. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but he ends up having to go to his brother for answers. And like I said, honestly, I did not see us having Tal back this quickly, but I'm in for it. I liked it.
Me too. I didn't see him coming back this fast. That was a huge surprise for me, but I love this actor. So I'm just happy to see him continue his role in season 2. I was actually kind of a little disappointed he didn't end up escaping. I thought he would become one of our like multiple villains this season, but be like out in the wild.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that's coming, or maybe they'll keep him in prison, or I don't know if they're going to try to redeem him. They seem to be trying to push for that storyline this episode too. So we'll see.
Yeah. It could be. And again, yeah, it did surprise me that he didn't fly off, but we'll see how it goes. But I think that's good, because I think they're setting up a lot of villains, and having one more may felt like overload, and so. Yeah, it could be that they, like you said, that they're trying to work in some type of redemption, but we'll see.
We'll see.
So he suggests that Clark visit his fortress to kind of figure out the visions. And I like this because Clark kind of checks in and lets Jordan know where he's going. And Jordan wants to go with him. And it's kind of because of what he's gone through, but he also talks with his dad about kind of knowing what it's like to struggle with visions and being handicapped that way, of just struggling with things that's beyond him and wanting to be there for him. So I really liked it's more than just a tagging along, and it's more of a, I'm here for you, Dad, and I want to help you out.
Yeah, definitely that whole aspect with Jordan was really interesting, and especially because it's a point in the episode when he's just feeling so down. We'll get a bit more into that as well, but yeah, he just wanted to feel useful, and I definitely feel like he was useful. I think it was good that he was there and kind of was able to like stop Tal or distract him long enough so that he couldn't escape. But like, kind of what I found interesting about all of this is, aside from attempting to escape, I'm not sure why he wanted him to go to the fortress. Like, why did Tal want to take Cal there? Like, just to speak with their mother? He was so angry and bitter. So it feels odd that he would want that. Like, he's that type of character that always needs to gain something. He's always got to play. And the only one he seemed to have was escape. And Jordan being there sort of hampered all of that.
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting that, and yeah, I agree. That now that you say that does make me question, like, what was his end game there? And honestly, I don't know. But it was surprising that they brought that up, and I guess we do get confirmation that Clark's fortress is just dead, but at least we've got someplace to go to.
I guess. The desert fortress. I don't know how I feel about that.
I know, it just doesn't work. But we do find out that Tal lied about his powers. But that was really cool, seeing Jordan step up to protect his dad for long enough to Laura to break through to him. And I really, that just made me proud for Jordan.
Yeah, no, I thought it was totally great. Like, it's definitely good for him to be there and kind of have a purpose. I think it's good for the boys to continue to have a purpose. We're going to get more into Jonathan's supposed purpose later. But on this particular point with Tal, I was wondering if Laura really did get through to him, because he wasn't really letting go. In the end, it ended up being like Clark ended up having enough time to recover to kind of help to save Jordan. So I don't know. I don't know if he would have gone through with killing him. I wasn't convinced though that she had kind of gotten through to him.
Yeah, I don't know. It to me, that would have seemed a little convenient. I mean, I don't know, because it's just, he seemed like he had so much animosity towards her. And I don't know if that would have been enough, but yeah, I agree. And I like that we are getting this reality's version of their mom, Laura Van. And she is played by Mariana Calavano, who had roles in True Blood and Designated Survivor. Those were the two big ones. She's done a lot of different things, but I think she's going to do a good job, and I'm hoping that we get to see more of her in this season and in upcoming seasons. And we find out that she was the version uploaded before Cal was sent off planet, so she doesn't know some of the stuff that the version last season did, and so that was actually inside the Eradicator, and so that was very interesting to find out.
Yes, no, that was really interesting to find out. I was wondering how that was going to end up working out, especially once we knew that Tal had her sun crystal. So
yeah, but I think she's honestly happy to have both of her boys there, and one of her grandsons. I mean, you could just see that pride in her face of having them there, and then just kind of disappointment when Tal comes at her bitter and angry. And I think she did a good job playing that.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean, it was so interesting just to watch her reaction, because she was so happy, and then she was very crestfallen to find out that they were not really brothers, that they hadn't been brought up together, that they didn't even really know one another. So yeah, that was very interesting reveal, and I really enjoyed the way that she played that for sure.
Yeah, but see, the interesting thing is Tal's reasoning of bringing his brother there is for him to figure out what's going on. And we figure out, we've learned quickly it's not the Eradicator or anything like that, but he's experiencing what she calls interdimensional kinesis. Kinesthesis, I think is how you say it. But anyway, he is connected to the thing in the mind. And my question is, how is he connected to that, and why? It brings up all these questions of what's going on and how's that happening?
Oh yeah, no, there's so many questions that this just opened up. This whole episode, but I think it's really fascinating that they're leaning into this interdimensional aspect. Honestly, it's kind of a bold choice in a post-crisis universe.
Oh yeah,
we purposely got rid of extra Earths and interdimensional travel, and they're just bringing it all right back. So I don't know where they're going. I don't know where they're necessarily going with all that, but I guess we'll find out. Because the interesting thing was, I'm going to jump to the end for a minute, because I don't think we have this in a particular point in our notes elsewhere. But Dr. Faulkner definitely acted like she was expecting something to come out of that mine. So I think clearly they're doing other things in that mine, like removing the XK is probably a benefit for their Super Academy program and a good cover story. But they were definitely doing something else to attract Doomsday to be coming through. So I don't know, do you have any theories on where Doomsday is actually coming from?
I don't. And that's the interesting thing. I honestly believe that we're going to see that he was sent to Earth way back when. And he's just been in hibernation at the same time that the XK got there, he got there, and that the mining has kind of woken him up. But it could be interesting to see that it's something else, that that there was some type of secret government process, and there's stuff going on, and he was just kept there and basically mothballed because they didn't think that it worked or something like that, and then the XK is just picking it up. I don't know. It just opens a lot of doors to a lot of different things, and the speculation is just fun.
It is. No, and those are a lot of good theories. The only thing that keeps getting me hung up is just the interdimensional. The fact that they called it interdimensional kinesthesis or whatever. Whatever, I can't say it either.
Yeah.
So to me, that implies that it comes from another dimension, like John and Henry Irons and Natlie come from another dimension. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see where they end up going with that for sure.
Oh, yeah. All right. Our next little section is, and I put it here because it's so tied into Clark, is the Lieutenant Anderson DOD/Super Academy storyline, because Superman hears a kidnapping in progress and he flies over there, and there is this arms dealer in the midst of, kidnapping, and we see all these forces coming against the guy, and Superman flies in, and the visions really take him out. But later on, we learn his name is Philip Karnowski, and who is also known as Barrage in the comics. So he was an enemy of Superman, and like his powers and abilities are, according to the comics, are a little bit different. But we see him here using a XK inhaler and able to take Cal down. And I knew it was XK, but to me, it just took me back to the Titan storyline from this past season of, inhaling these drugs to kick things up and things like that. And so I'm just because the inhaling was the aerosol was that same color. So I'm just like, wait a minute, is that? No, this is different universe. That's still a different world. But anyway, so.
That's an interesting tie. See, I'm not caught up on this season of Titans, but I heard it was very good. So I'm excited to get caught up on it. So I didn't have that kind of messing me up, but I sure did find this storyline very interesting. It was kind of a really small part of the episode, which is unusual. Usually our action sequences get a little bit more spotlight. But they really packed a lot into it in general, to this whole episode in general. But what I found interesting about this is we get a lot of information in very short snippets, because in the conversation with Anderson, he says that people were basically going after the XK in the mines until he sends in Amertech to take over the mining. So it looks like whoever was taking the XK, they were selling it on the black market, they're weaponizing themselves. But I'm wondering, are these effects only temporary? Do they have to have more of it, or does it stay in their system?
Yeah, that's a good question, because for somebody like this, Barrage, you would think that maybe he thinks it's temporary and it's going to maybe feed into some type of addiction. I believe it's got to be like a temporary absorption, since you're absorbing it into the lungs. That's a quick take so that it gets kind of into the bloodstream quickly. Then it's kind of dissipate quickly too. But yeah, it could definitely lead to addiction and lung issues and things like that. And whether it has a lasting effect, I don't know. It may, but yeah, there are lots of questions there, because who else has it? Because honestly, he's a trafficker, and he's gonna sell it too, not just use it. So it's you wonder who else has it.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're gonna see it pop up throughout the rest of the season for sure.
Yeah. So Superman gets taken down, and we see our two nameless super kids from last week. Even IMDb still doesn't have their names. They're Superseded Person 1 and 2. And the female, Evelyn, she's done a lot of stunt work. And Dominique, the guy, has not done as much stuff. So they still don't have names. But we have Tag Harris coming back and kind of checking on Superman, and the three of them were able to take down the terrorists and kind of get Superman some help that he needed.
Absolutely. We were wondering about Tag, and there he is.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're bringing him back, and because that was our end to this program, this academy.
Yep.
And so I'm glad that we're having consistency and having that our kind of end there. And maybe it may mean that we have some storylines in the future, kind of from his point of view, where we're getting to see what's going on at the academy.
That's
so that we're not just dealing with our main characters. Now that we have a character that we kind of know, it kind of gives us an in a little better than maybe Anderson checking on the kids. But that's just kind of my speculation there.
Yeah, no, that'd be really interesting. I actually kind of hope that happens now.
Yeah. So we're back at the DOD, and Anderson kind of lays the law down to Superman and says that if you basically don't want to work with our project, we're going to have to cut you off to access to our facilities. So, this was, I kind of saw it coming, but I wonder if the same is going to be true. I mean, he was getting medical treatment there, but I'm wondering if the same is going to be true for the prison facility that they've got Tal in too, because you would think that's related, but it's definitely, I think, going to cause some problems this season, and kind of setting again Anderson down that path to be an antagonist.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely think there's going to be more to come between Anderson and Superman, just in the same way that they had us in the beginning of season 1 with him and Sam Lane. Now, I don't think this might be resolved in the same way that the issues with Sam Lane were, because that was a totally different situation. But I definitely think that this will continue on throughout the season. And I thought this particular point, just about this whole scene with the facilities and having Kryptonian doctors, was really interesting. And I'm wondering if Cal's just been using these DoD physicians like the whole time. I mean, I can't imagine he would have to use them very often, just given the nature of his abilities and powers. But I guess part of it is they're probably left over from all the research from when Sam Lane was doing on Kryptonite and Project 7734 and all of that. Yeah.
And it could be because within Supergirl, you had the DEO, and that was the source of kind of the help there once Supergirl started working with them, and really being called into action. And so Kyle doesn't have that, and he's probably been using this a little bit longer too. So yeah, it does raise a lot of questions. But, and normally in the past, go to the fortress, and especially the fortress that we saw in Supergirl, where you could have some of that healing and that Kryptonian tech, and now he doesn't have that either. So he's going to have to really depend on the desert fortress now, I guess.
I guess that's true. Yeah, there's a whole lot of complications with his fortress being gone. I hope they find a way to replace it and not just have him rely on the desert fortress.
Yeah, I hope so too, because it's interesting, but I would like to see a true fortress like what we saw in Supergirl, like what we've kind of seen in the movies and things like that, where it's more of a traditional view. But we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we kind of move on to Lois?
No, I don't think so. I'm ready to move on.
All right. Yeah, I like this section a whole lot because I love this, because it just made me hungry watching Lois cooking up this huge breakfast, and I'm a huge Parks and Rec fan, and there's no kind of sadness that can't be cured by breakfast food. So
Yes.
this is just speaking to me, making me hungry, and you've got Lois just being the mom there and cooking up this huge breakfast and trying to make inroads and be hospitable to her guests. But we find out that Nat is vegan, and so it's like all that work for naught.
Exactly, because we kind of find out that that's the only reason she's doing it, right? Is to try and bond with Natlie. And I really appreciate her efforts. But she does kind of seem determined to really make up for something that's kind of not her fault to begin with. But I guess there's really no other way to go about it. She's trying to make them feel at home and included. And, it's just kind of part of it. But I thought the funniest thing about this whole scene was just her family's reaction, because it said it all. She clearly doesn't do this often. Down to Jordan's quip about the eggs. Are these scrambled or over medium? Both?
A little both?
How do you do both? It doesn't work. Oh, so funny.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. So we see her coming into the Gazette, and Chrissy is listening to a podcast, and the podcast is accusing Lois of forcing her sources. And, Lois just kind of initially blows this over as just, this is typical. This is just a typical attack on a journalist, and it's going to blow over.
Yes. But what I love about this scene, Chrissy brings up the fact that Lois acts differently when her family is involved. And she does, just like last season with her dad. But to be fair, that was a slightly different situation because that did involve Superman. It sounds like this clearly did not involve Superman.
Yeah.
But I do love how Chrissy she really keeps Lois accountable. She's not afraid to stand up for herself or her business. And I absolutely love that character choice. I think that was super smart. It would have been so easy to make her a pushover. And I think it makes her character so much better to have her stand up to Lois.
Yeah. And I like that we are getting that journalism integrity there. We're getting the strength of an equal partner. She may not be as good a reporter, but she is an equal partner in the Gazette, and she's really standing up. And she really calls Lois on the carpet later on because one of the sources is kind of going to recant, and we kind of get the full scoop on this info, and we learn that the source that Lois had in this cult was her sister Lucy. And the cult is led by Alliston, I believe is the name. And I really thought this was really ballsy to bring up a cult storyline and call the leader Allie when there was these actors and actresses involved in the NXIVM cult from Smallville, including Kristen Crick, but the number 2 person in that cult is Allison Mack. And I'm all for calling out the cults, and after watching season 1 of The Vow on HBO and learning all the stuff behind it, I think they deserve to get called out. But okay, a Superman property calling out actors and actresses from another Superman property? I was like, wow.
I know. You totally read my mind, because I had put some of this into my summary, which I decided to not read because I knew you had it covered here. But that was the first thing that I thought of. I was like, oh my God. I was like, first of all, I mean, there's a lot of cults that have kind of come about in recent years that are all like this. It's basically like a guru taking advantage of people. But the fact that it just really gave me a NXIVM vibe, and it was Allie, I was like, that's awfully close to the name Allison.
Yeah.
as in it's a nickname for it. So if that was intentional, I kind of say well done, writers. I mean, it's clearly the first thing we both thought of. So
yeah, and I mean, this is really it's personal. I can see why Lois wanted to keep it secret, because she said that a person died because of the cult, and we, when she, really gets called out by Chrissy, she kind of reveals that Lucy attempted, and it was only because Lois was able to get there and save her that she's alive. And I'm really wondering, because Chrissy brings it up and says, well, listen, if your sister is recanting, then we've got a lot to worry about. And I'm wondering if that is how they're going to bring her in, is there's going to be that confrontation there. So it's not, we learned that they've been distant, but there's going to be active confrontation there. And maybe Lucy's gotten looped back in with Allie. I don't know. It's just taking it places that I didn't think it was going to go. I was wondering how they're going to introduce Lucy, but props to the writers. They're doing an excellent job of like bringing the deep storylines that we don't necessarily think about or would think, kind of like they did last season with Lois and her pregnancy loss. I mean, bravo. Tough, but I think they're doing it well so far.
Yeah, no, I think they're doing it well so far, and it's a topic that needs awareness brought to it, because there are just so many things that I think a lot of people don't realize, like, are cults, and it's just, if you're at the right place in the right time, it's just really easy to get sucked in. If anybody is even like at all interested in anything, like, I highly recommend the podcast A Little Bit Culty. It's with Sarah Edmondson and Nippy Ames, and they were in Nexium. I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that, but like I said, I listened to The Vow, and I've watched some other stuff about that, and then I've also watched the whole Scientology series that A&E had with Leah Remini. So
yeah, their podcast is very good too.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of stuff out there, and unfortunately it's kind of the day and age we live in. So
it is, yeah, and has been. I mean, it's not like a lot of these are not new. They've been around for a long time. Anyways, this is like a whole. We're getting way off topic. We should probably head back.
Let's get back on topic. And
what is this bizarre segue that's happening right now? Can we maybe stay on point?
All right. So Chrissy and Lois head out to the mines, and we get introduced to Dr. Faulkner there. And this was a little surprising to me, because we find out that she's like this heavy-duty scientist, geologist, and she's in charge. And you're like, okay, that's kind of unusual, and Lois brings that up. And I like that Lois immediately goes, okay, we need to double check what she's saying, because she's saying that they're not causing it, but she's not going to trust that. She's going to, we need to find other sources, and that other source is John Henry.
Yeah.
So
I liked that. I mean, I think we were kind of all expecting her to do some digging. I mean, they had to catch up eventually. I mean, we all know what's causing the seismic activity, so they needed to figure it out.
Yeah, and it was just kind of cool, the little bit of time that gave us between John Henry. I'm gonna be with this. I'm gonna just have to say Henry, so that I'm not having to say John Henry or just John, and which John is it? But
I know
just the time that they kind of got to talk and catch up, and you see that it's still hard for him to be around her a little bit, and it's a little bit awkward, but I like the kind of the insight that he gives her about dealing with Nat too. So it opens up the door of them working together, kind of opens up some of those conversations that we wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah, that's true. It did. It gave them an opportunity to kind of catch up and maybe not necessarily like get on the same page, but just kind of, I guess, get to know one another, because I mean, just like Natlie, he's having a hard time separating who Lois is from who Lois was to him. So that's got to be difficult. And so I think, they're just trying to work through that. So I liked those little tidbits that we got, where we kind of got to see how he's trying to like process his own grief and kind of work through it as well. So
yeah, it was good, and I liked it. Liked it for that aspect. All right, let's get into the boys. And Jonathan is getting razzed by some of the other football players, and it turns out the main one, Timmy, is like benching 315 pounds, and like that wasn't happening last year, and John definitely thinks it's roids, but I'm thinking it's XK. I'm thinking it's not just roids. I'm thinking maybe it's that combined with XK or something else, but like I don't know, but that's the first thing that my mind went to.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I feel like there kind of has to be a tie there. Otherwise, like, what's the point of this whole storyline other than literally keeping his character relevant? Because otherwise it's like, why are we, watching everything with the football team still? And I forget, like, when did Jordan stop playing football? I know this clearly happened, but I don't remember.
Same thing too.
Okay. So I didn't just completely space on it.
I know that they pulled both boys out last season.
Right.
But evidently Jonathan went back and Jordan didn't. But it wasn't really made clear this season, like that, he's not being a pal. Because like Clark is still assistant coaching. So like, I don't know.
I thought maybe it was something I had missed at the end of season 1, since that was right around the time that I had my baby, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, when did he stop? When did he even stop playing football? Like, what is happening right now?
Yeah. I was kind of surprised that he's not playing either, but I can see why not. But
True.
Yeah. But talking about Jordan, it is nice to see the progression of his powers. I mean, we saw last episode and we see this episode that his heat vision is progressing, and so is his strength. And it was really cool to see him go up against Tal this time with better success than last season.
Oh, yeah. All right. Few things to your points. Like, they've shown a lot that Jordan's powers are getting stronger. And I'm actually a little bit surprised we haven't seen any flight yet. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's coming. Because we've seen him kind of master some of the other stuff. So, like, I don't know. I guess I'm just waiting for him to become like a mini Superman, but maybe he won't. Maybe they're purposely not giving him all the powers.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll have to see how that continues to evolve.
Yeah.
And then I was super happy to see him land a few punches.
Mm-hmm.
Glad Tal didn't actually end up killing him, so he can try again another day.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Jordan.
Yeah, but poor guy. He finds out, and then we get it confirmed that Sarah did find somebody else at camp. And even though she says Aubrey was a camp thing and she wants to move on with Jordan, he's not ready. And, honestly, this is big, because this is his big first love, and you get dropped on, like, not only was she with somebody else, it was same sex, and he's done all this. It's just like, oh my gosh, all of this heat on him.
Yep. I mean, the whole situation is confusing enough. I mean, like, I feel bad for Jordan. I feel bad for Sarah. I mean, it was very obvious that she's trying to hide something. I mean, we all knew the minute we saw her character on screen that she was trying to hide something. And I think maybe she herself is definitely confused by this whole situation. I mean, she admits she doesn't want to date Aubrey. Like, she just, it was just a camp thing. Like, it's just a camp thing. And I'm like, yes, I guess. I don't know. I didn't do the whole camp thing. So not that camp thing, just going to camp. Anyways,
I went to camp, but yeah, I didn't do that.
Yeah, we didn't really do like the whole sleepaway camp thing. But anyway, yeah, it's definitely confusing for her. It's got to be even more confusing for him because it's like, okay, so you cheated on me with another girl, but you still want to be with me. Like, that's got to be so confusing. Like, I wouldn't even know how to process that.
I know. It's got to be rough on him. And honestly, I'm glad that he is taking time to, like, you know, like, not immediately jumping back in and saying, sure, let's go, you know. Like,
right.
Yeah. So I'm glad he's at least mature enough to, like, okay, I need to process, even if it's like I'm angry, so I'm going to process. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess at least he's got his answer. But
yeah.
Oh.
So the Cushing family were dealing with some challenges this week. So our candidate Hart announces he's dropping out, and Lana continues to be infuriated with the current mayor. So we kind of saw this coming because he's too weak and to make a good stand. And so, like, yeah, I could see it coming that he was going to drop out. So
for sure. And the whole time I'm like yelling at Lana. I'm like, do it yourself. You don't need someone else to stand up to him, to take him on. Just do it yourself. You're clearly capable. You have passion. You know the town. Like, come on, girl. Just let's go.
Yeah. And I was really happy that both Kyle and Lana, you know, when they're working through candidates to try to find the best one, and then they separately both realize that she's the best person from the job. Like, he's getting petitioned from, like, everybody in the fire department coming in to be 100% behind his wife and convince her that she needs to do it. And she takes it all in and says, yeah, I've already registered to be a candidate. I just loved it that they were all on the same page.
I did too. I was so happy when he came on with that petition because I was really worried by that earlier scene that, like, what he told her, he's like, it's just small town politics. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I think he was playing it off because he wanted to come home with, like, this big grand gesture and, like, show support. And that made me super happy because I was like, oh, Kyle, you've come so far. Don't turn back into the bonehead guy. Purge your wife. Tell her to run for mayor. Come on.
Yeah. Oh goodness, yeah. So that was cool, and he's kind of excited about being Smallville's first dude.
That was so cute. I know Martin hated this whole storyline, but I thought it was cute.
Yeah. So yeah, me too. I liked it.
I did too. Sorry, Martin.
Yep. So this is my favorite scene, but I just wanted to talk about it a bit. I really liked the Nat and Sarah bonding over working on the car, because Nat immediately knows that something is up between Sarah and Jordan, and kind of steps in to help Sarah make a step in the right direction. So I really, really appreciated it.
I did too. This honestly was my favorite scene also. But I did pick another one, of course, because I absolutely love this friendship. I think they both needed a good female friend. Oh, yeah. And I was very happy to see them bonding over cars because, like, how cool is that? I love
Yeah.
that she's like a total mechanical genius. Natlie is, I mean. And so I really loved it. I thought it was totally great.
Yeah. So, we talked a little bit about Dr. Faulkner, but I want to talk a little bit more about her and the mystery person in the mines.
Right?
So, Doomsday comes out, and I was looking at IMDb for something else, but guess who's playing it? Playing Doomsday, at least so far.
Who?
Daniel Cudamore, who played Subject 11 last season, who's played he played the Minotaur in Legends of Tomorrow, played
Oh my
Gridlock in
gosh.
Flash. He's been, X-Men, he was Jackhammer and Arrow. So like he's a beefy stunt dude
He's
that
our
they get to
creature
play.
actor.
Yeah, so like that was kind of surprising, but like, oh yeah, they're gonna use him. But like we get to see a little bit more. He is, I guess, still wrapped up in a suit, and that's what those lights are on him. I guess,
Yeah.
that Martin was asking about. I'm assuming that is. But these miners are in there and they're looking, and Doomsday just like takes them out, and then the last one like blows the charges to trap them all down there. So evidently he's like, he's dangerous. We need to trap him. So that was really surprising to me.
Yeah, no, that was surprising to me too. I'm also assuming Doomsday is in a suit of some sort because of that gloved hand that we saw. And then plus the image that you shared with us, that comic book image. So I think that's the version of Doomsday that we're getting for sure in that big suit thing. And yeah, the whole thing with the people in the mines was really interesting because for one, like Dr. Faulkner kind of had me fooled. I actually thought she was totally innocent. She was clearly very worried about losing her men in the mines. And I think she was legitimately upset, that like the people working for her died. One guy, like he literally killed himself, like to save others. But it kills me that she's like been in on it the whole time at the same time. So I'm like having a hard time processing what they were doing down there and why they had the charges, because she knows that Doomsday was there. They brought him there on purpose. So has he just come up further to the surface than they were expecting? Like, were they down there blowing stuff up for other reasons? Like, I'm having a hard time trying to reconcile those two plot points together now that we got that reveal.
Right. I thought that they were looking for the XK, and they knew that there was something there, but I don't think they knew what, that he was there. They knew something was there. I don't think they knew it was necessarily maybe a life form, but maybe they could read the power signatures or something like that and thought it might be a piece of like alien tech or something like that. And because we get this call at the end, and I want to talk about this, but she says they found something even more powerful. And so I'm thinking they were thinking it's Kryptonian tech that, but they found this being. But this brings up a point, because I'm questioning who she called. I'm going to let you say your piece.
Okay.
But I honestly think they laid out earlier with our terrorist that he had gotten some of the XK, and then he's this terrorist. And so I was kind of led down the path of she's either in league with him or whoever's behind him. Now, she may be semi-legitimate, but I was thinking that is who she is contacting, and that, that they were doing that, but the whole cover was, okay, we're going to take this nice government contract, but then she's got just other means behind it. So that those were my thoughts, but please share yours and let's talk about this.
All right. I am 100% convinced, now this is me, my theory, that she called Anderson, because I feel like he admitted as much to Clark when he told him that they called in Amertech for the mines. So given that he's developing these superpowered people and is super shady in general, I 100% believe they're trying to call through interdimensional beings. It fits with his whole MO. So that's where my mind went.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I mean, we'll have to see. And like I said, it could be a mix of both. It could be neither one.
Right.
I don't know. But like I said, I like the fact that we are getting set up of villains, and we were told that there's going to be multiple this season. And I'm excited because we are speculating and we have no clue what's going to go on, and it may be something totally different. And that's exciting when you're like digging into a show and the writers are that good that it's leading you to like ask questions and everything. So yes.
Yes, I am 100% with you. That's the whole reason Martin and I got into this in the first place. It was speculation.
Yeah. All right. Any other points that we want to bring up before we move on?
I don't think so. I think I've gotten everything out that I wanted to talk about. Do you have anything else that our discussion sparked?
Not right off.
All right.
Shape out an eagle!
All right, let's move on to our favorite scenes. And Harley is up first with her favorite scene in chronological order.
I am. So I called this one Family Reunion. And I was having trouble trying to find a second favorite scene. And I really particularly just loved it when they were going back to the fortress, or when Tal convinced them to go back to the fortress, and we got introduced to Lara.
Impressive, isn't it? All that remains of our Kryptonian heritage.
I like Dad's fortress better.
Well, taste is subjective, I suppose.
Let's just get started. And Tal, if you even think of trying anything.
Brother, your suspicions are without merit. I'm simply here to help. May I? This is no trick, Carl. In fact, it's something far, far greater. It's a family reunion.
Kal-El, my son. Is that you?
Mother.
Good stuff. I mean, I really appreciate just the family dynamic, like we talked before. It was good getting to see her introduced, and just so good.
For sure. I think it was something we were all hoping for, so I was very happy to see it.
All right, next up is mine, and I called this one Shop Talk.
This car is a total disaster.
Yeah, I told my dad not to get it, but he kind of insisted, so.
Are you crazy? This thing's a beast. I mean, it gets over 280 horses, dual exhaust, which is always badass. Here. Honestly, the only thing that kind of sucks is that it doesn't have a working AC.
Okay, that was awesome, but also none of this works, so.
Not yet.
So what, are you like a gas tank half full kind of girl?
Let's just say there's nothing I can't fix.
Where'd you learn how to do all this?
Well, I spent all my free time learning mechanics in our bunker.
Bunker? What are you and your dad, like Doomsday preppers or something?
No, it's just what we call my dad's shop. The bunker.
Oh.
So, what's going on between you and Jordan?
Nothing. Why? Did he say something?
No, the answer tells me a whole lot.
Have you ever had a secret that you felt might completely change the way that somebody sees you?
Yeah, I have.
What'd you do about it?
Pretty sure it's not the same type of secret. Look, if you can tell him, then do it, but if not, you really need to get better at hiding it.
Yeah, I didn't mean for this conversation to get so depressing.
Don't worry. I'm about to change all that.
Oh my god, you're a genius.
I'll also accept cool and awesome.
Wow.
I thought that was funny. In there, they talked about them being Doomsday preppers, and I was like, that plays on 2 levels.
Yes.
They were
Oh my
prepping
gosh.
for a doomsday in their world because of, being attacked and everything, and we're prepping for doomsday on our world. Oh, goodness. But I really enjoyed that, like we said, because they both need the friendship. They both need people to bounce things off of. Having somebody, just a best friend, to be able to do that is so needed. And they're just kind of outsiders, and having that relationship, I think that's going to be really good. It's going to be fun to see when Kyle comes in and it's the 3 of them working on the car together, just to see that kind of dynamic. But it was really good. I appreciated it a lot. I liked it.
Yeah, me too. It was a really great scene. I just loved the 2 of them bonding together. I thought it was cool. So I'm excited to maybe see some more of those sprinkled throughout the season.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll present Flash's favorite scene, since he's not here, but he did pick one. And so we called this one Hands Off My Boy. And this is when Superman finally kind of gets out of his headache and he sees Tal-Ro has Jordan. And so he, and I quote, sped to him and punches the crap out of him, saying, "Don't you ever touch him. That's scary intense."
Indeed. So let's take a listen.
Don't you ever touch him!
Stop! Enough!
Jordan, I'm fine. This was a mistake. I never should have trusted you!
No, Cal. He was right to bring you here. I know what's wrong with you.
Not surprising that we've got 2 of our favorite scenes from the same kind of section of scenes with those, because that was just a powerful section. And it was just so good just seeing him stand up for his son after his son had stood up for him, and just pushing through the vision. So it was good stuff. Scary, intense. I like it.
Yes, it was. It was a very intense scene. Even the music, like you can hear the music when we're just listening back to it. Like you really key in on it. It was very intense. Yeah, I'm glad you picked this scene. For me, it was between the scene that I picked and another one in the fortress that neither one of us picked, but it was basically when Tal-Ro kind of confronts his mother. So, but I felt like that was like a little bit of a downer, so I didn't decide to pick it.
All right, folks. Well, we want to let you know about our Patreon program, so here's some more info on that.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
Yes, we're grateful for our supporters. You don't know how much it means to us to be able to, know that you're there for us. You're sending in feedback. You're supporting us monthly for the cost of keeping the website and hosting and everything up. It just takes a lot of burden off of us, and we like having you a part of the family and love to see more people step up. So thanks so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. Every little bit goes a long way. And we'll have to, in the next month or so, get another call scheduled for all of you lovely patrons that we already have.
Yeah. All right.
That was fun. All right, so first up, we have an email from Comic Geek Kev, and he says, good episode that confirmed a couple things I was thinking might happen that you guys also brought up last week. Lana running for mayor, although that happened much sooner than I thought, but thank you, CW, for not having the love triangle. Oh yeah. Sarah met someone at camp. When Sarah and Natlie were under the hood, there was something about that interaction that made me think, did Sarah meet a girl? Interesting. Also, in the scene with them before that, I thought Jordan picked up on something when Nat drew the picture for Sarah, but maybe that was just me. I don't have any problem with gay characters at all, but I would like to see Jordan be happy. Maybe let them work things out, and if you want representation, introduce some new characters. Yeah, no, I didn't get the vibe between Sarah and Nat, so I think we're safe there.
Yeah.
I think it was what Sarah said. It was just a camp thing, but I guess we'll see. We'll see what to do with it. But hey, nothing wrong with a little summer camp experimentation. Smiley face. Also, early on, I thought they were putting Clark's visions in sync with Dee Dee's attempts at escape. Oh, Doomsday. I was like, what's Dee Dee? Again, I'm surprised we are seeing Doomsday so soon in the series and the season. But with shorter seasons, I'm trusting in them to make it work. Those are the things I thought might come to fruition. So far, so good.
Mm-hmm.
The door now seems wide open for Lucy to show up fairly soon. It'll be great to see her again. I'm really interested to see where this goes and if the cult leader story plays any other role than getting her onto the show. Hopefully she gets a few episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So last week we saw, I thought, 2 students in the S Academy, and here we have 3. But it looks like they actually are there to help, especially Tag. That was Tag, right? Yes, that was Tag. Anderson is DOD, so maybe the school is just what he's saying. But these things always seem to not work out that way in genre stories. Plus, Anderson is kind of a douche nozzle. Yes, he is.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking maybe 1 or more of the students get seriously injured or killed by Doomsday. Oh, no, I hope it's not Tag. Oh,
yeah, me too.
I love that Jordan went after Tal, even knowing he couldn't possibly win. And how did they get Tal back to the base and into his cell when he had powers? Maybe I missed something. Well, Superman beat the crap out of him. Will Tal have to be released in the battle against Doomsday? Ooh, maybe. Introducing a previous version of Lara was a pretty interesting idea. It didn't even occur to me until Jordan asked if it was a different grandma. What's the chances that Steele gets hurt by Doomsday and Natlie ends up in the armor at some point? Oh, I don't know.
Wow.
That'd be interesting. They've already shown she can fix anything, so I think she either ends up in the armor or comes up with some kind of weapon to fight him. It's an interesting theory. Sorry, I have to keep coming back to Doomsday. All these other storylines, Lucy, Lana, the kids, seem like they would take a huge backseat to Doomsday showing up. Unless, as one of you suggested last week, that they defeat him and then he comes back stronger a couple times. Otherwise, I can't see the town thinking about much else besides a rampaging monster. Of course, another option is that he's just one story arc and there's another bad guy besides Tal, whom I was surprised to see. Doomsday's appearance here just really baffles me. Anyway, I give this episode 9 out of 10 summer camp smooches. Looking forward to the podcast. Until next time, Comic Geek Kev.
Good points, and we'll just have to keep an eye on some of your speculation to see if some of those come true.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, next up, we've got an email from Dad L. Hello, Superfam. This episode had great story progression. Writers have very organically woven together the earthquakes, Clark's vision, Doomsday, return of Tal-Ro, Lieutenant Anderson, and our first appearance of Lara. All good stuff. I knew Tal lied about being depowered. Surely Clark did too, but also knew Tal would be weak from the Red Sun prison cell. Could be. I don't know. But I think he was desperate enough that he was willing to take the chance either way. But anyway.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if that was stated somehow. But in the end, Clark had no problem returning Tal to his cell.
Yeah.
It was very nice to see Jordan hold his own and excitedly recount the encounter to Jonathan. Yeah, that was pretty cool. The two, trading that story. That was good. I'm kind of shocked at the apparent reference to Allison Mack. Honestly,
we're not alone.
Yeah, honestly, I find this kind of on the nose writing unimaginative and unnecessary. Okay, interesting. Could we just have a storyline without the obvious reference? I don't know.
Is it possible they didn't realize what they were doing? I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it.
It's pretty on the nose. Okay,
yeah,
anyway.
Yeah. I won't even go into the CW teen angst. Okay, so he wasn't a fan of the Sarah storyline there, I guess. I like the story progression, but with my gripes, I knocked down my rating to 7 Superman punch shockwaves. I just love seeing those. Dad L, last father of Krypton. Good point.
Yeah, a lot of good points. Yeah, you weren't super enthused with some of the storylines, which I can understand, but those shockwaves are also very cool to see.
Definitely.
All right, last up, we have an email from Perry White. Hey, Superfam, Perry White here with feedback for the ties that bind. I'm going to give this episode a 9.5 votes for Lana as mayor out of 10. I know we're already into the 3rd week of the new year, but it's never too late to reveal resolutions, so my feedback will speak to the resolutions I think each character should set.
Cool.
I know, I love his themes. All right, Clark should resolve to make more visits to his mother at the fortress. Lois should resolve to suffer more from word diarrhea than emotional constipation. You certainly do have a way with words, Perry White. By that, I mean she should stop keeping so many secrets from folks who deserve the truth. Jordan should resolve to be more confident in his relationships and stop being so much of a sad sack.
Oh, wow.
Jonathan should resolve to not take any performance-enhancing drugs because, unfortunately, I see that in his future. I'm worried he's going to get his hands on some XK.
Yeah.
John should resolve to find a house in Smallville so Lois can stop making a Sunday morning breakfast on a school day. Natlie should not resolve to do anything different because she's perfect. Agree. Lana should resolve to run a down and dirty campaign if she has to because Mayor McDouchebag needs his comeuppance. Kyle should resolve to be the best first dude he could possibly be. Sarah should resolve to kiss more girls or guys or do whatever she needs to for her own happiness. Bonus, the Cushing should remember they have 2 daughters, not just one. Where's Sophie? Chrissy should resolve to hire interns because something tells me she's going to need more help with the paper than Lois can provide. I'm not sure if I can say this on a clean podcast, but it'll just be one instance. So Lieutenant Mitch the Bitch Anderson should resolve to stop pissing off the Man of Steel. I don't see that ending so well for him. Tal-Ro should resolve to be on better prisoner behavior so they can stop pumping in that red sunlight. Anyone who is familiar with Seinfeld and the chicken roaster episode knows what that constant red light can do to you. Here's a hint. It turned Jerry into Kramer. If you've never seen that episode, do yourself a favor and go watch it.
Yep.
Finally, Superman and Lois should resolve to let David Ramsey direct more and have as much involvement in the show as he desires. His direction was great. Agree. Also, it was cool that he directed an episode that deepened the storyline for the school for gifted children, especially since he's about to do Justice U. It would be great if some of those kids, like Tag, wind up on the show. Anyway, I feel pretty good about meeting my feedback deadline. Until next time, this has been Perry White. I'm out.
Good thoughts. Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see some crossover there with Justice U. So, I don't know.
No, we'll have to see. Do we know when that's coming? Did you tell us that already?
No, they don't have a firm timeline yet. I seriously doubt that we would see it before 23, and maybe it's going to be a summer show because, like I said, we're just finding out about it. It would be a big push to try to get it done for the fall. So,
gotcha.
All right. If you want to be like those good folks, this is what you got to do.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter @tomorrowslegends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/tomorrowslegends and become part of the community.
That wraps us up for this week. Legends, which is pretty interesting. Not as bad as last week, but definitely can't compare to Superman and Lois.
That is true. It doesn't quite compare to Superman and Lois, but I know I enjoyed it a heck of a lot more than the previous episodes. So maybe I'll be the shining ray of sunshine over on the Legends podcast tomorrow night.
Send it either vibes, flashes away, and just watch soon, and just look forward to continuing to talk about superheroes. Just continue to share our podcasts so that other folks know that we're covering superheroes, and we look forward to doing this soon.
And this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.